Level Up is a regular podcast that brings you topics to help you perform at work and in life at your very highest level. Your host is Dan Chiodo, an executive coach, corporate trainer, and author. He is president of Impact Training and Executive Coaching. And now, here's Dan.
Thank you, Jesse, and welcome everyone to Level Up, the place you go when you want to grow. And we are going to grow today. We're going to talk about a really interesting topic. You know, statistics show that the number one fear of people is public speaking, which you may have heard that before. But I continue to look at the research. Number 5 fear is death. So public speaking is even higher than death itself. Yet this is the number one skill we need so many times as professionals, to explain things, to convince people, to persuade people, and to have a great image. So our guest today is going to tell us about a program that can really help people be professional speakers. So she's had a variety of experience, and I want to share that with you. She has been a Keller Williams realtor. She's been a regional VP for Excel, was a leadership program. She did that for 10 years. A council person for 7 years in the city she lived. And she's done 8 mission trips to Albania, Liberia, Africa. She's active with ministries in her church, and she has a passion for personal development. I know that about her, as well as sales. And she is the CHO, which is the Chief Happiness Officer of the Little family. But I was looking at that, and then I see, as my guest, Debbie Little, you really have to say that as she's the Chief Happiness Officer for the Little family. So now that makes sense. That's where that little comes from. So Debbie Little, welcome to Level Up.
Oh, thank you, Dan. It's a pleasure to be here and definitely an honor.
Oh, well, thank you. This is, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about speaking and about the program that you're going to talk about, which I believe is Toastmasters. And what I love about this is that you haven't always been involved in it. And I think you've been turned on by that program. So tell us a little bit about how that occurred. What happened?
Leadership has always been my passion. I was introduced to leadership in the late 90s and kind of came into my life with a big roll, and then all of a sudden rolled right out as fast as it came in. My situations changed and that type of thing. So I'm always ready to learn anything I can about this subject. So I do a lot of reading and that type of thing. But then one day my trainer told me, he says, you need to meet this lady. She is just like you. And I went, okay. Well, it comes to find out she's one of the ladies that I have been trying to recruit into Keller Williams. And she definitely is just like me. And I met her at a Thanksgiving dinner, and I said, well, hi, Chrissy, how you doing? I said, what have you been up to? She says, let me tell you what I'm up to. And she introduced me to Toastmasters, and it's been history ever since then.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I met her too. And what is so interesting about her was, before I met her, you were going to introduce me to her. We were in a coffee shop, and I looked around, and I was looking for someone who maybe came in after we were there. And I looked over at her, and I thought, this is a real woman of purpose. I could just see she was busy writing things, doing things. And then I got to meet her, and I could have told you that she was involved in Toastmasters. Yes. So that is great. That is great. Tell us a little bit. I have always talked about Toastmasters as a wonderful way for people to not only learn great things about presentations and speaking and meetings, that sort of thing, but that they can do it in a very affordable way. So is that true?
Oh, definitely. You would pay thousands of dollars for some of the seminars something of the same quality of a seminar that we attend. We have weekly meetings, and it's only like $45 for 6 months. We come for 1 hour, 1 day a week. You can go to as many meetings as you want. So there's 3 meetings in our Joplin area that I could go to all 3 of them, and it doesn't cost me anymore. Has a whole different level of people, whole different dynamic in each one of these. And you learn something new each time you go to one of these classes or groups.
You do. You do. And I went through Toastmasters in several different cities, and then also spent thousands of dollars for other speaking courses. And after I did those, I always said, but Toastmasters really did it right and taught me so much, and it was so affordable. It probably varies from city to city, but typically that's about what I paid. I just think it's marvelous.
Yes.
So tell us what a meeting looks like. What do you do in that meeting?
There is always an agenda. It is a scheduled meeting, meaning that we start on time and we end on time. We have an hour's time frame that we work with. Each week we have different people take on different jobs for the evening. Some of the jobs you might have, you might be Toastmaster that evening, which you would be pretty much running the meeting. But there's also the general evaluator, who at the end of the meeting will evaluate how the meeting went, if we kept on schedule, if there were anything that we need to change about that meeting. Also, we have a regular evaluator that evaluates our speeches. We have up to 2 speeches per meeting. That person, the evaluator, will come in and give a good overall idea of what that person had done right for the evening, how they could maybe improve, what their presentation was like. Did they have good eye contact? Did they scan the room? Did they get out from behind the podium and really engage their audience for the evening? And then if there's something that they do need to work on, to kind of give them a good analysis of what maybe they might change for the next time. Part of our first parts of our speeches is a speech about yourself. So you give a 5 to 7 minute speech about yourself. It's evaluated, and then your second speech is you're taking the evaluation that you get from that night and representing your initial speech again. That way you can improve on what you've learned. That's the main thing with Toastmasters. It's a very easy place to go. It's not intimidating. We're all there to learn. It's a very safe place to learn. So that helps so much.
It does. It does. I always felt like those meetings, it's like they become your family.
Exactly.
There are people there with that common purpose of learning that. And when you talked about evaluation, I think that's really big. Sometimes people do presentations for a big part of their lives, and no one really evaluates them. They just go from one to another. So they may be doing something that could be done more effectively, and they never know. So I'm glad you brought that up. Being able to evaluate someone, I always find it helpful for me. It's almost like a performance evaluation where people evaluate us, and when they say you're doing great work and I like this, I like that, that's all fine. But I love it when they get to the things where they say, here's how you can grow. And I think that's really big.
One of our members she works for the Postal Service. She is trying to up her game. She's trying to get a promotion. So one of the things that she's been doing is, the last time she spoke, she did an interview. She actually chose somebody out of to help her to do the interview questions. And then after it was all over, then she was evaluated on what she could have done better during that. So she's getting to practice that interview before she actually walks into the door to the interview.
Yes. So you can really use it for different things you'll be facing in your life.
Exactly. Right. And also if you're a person that is in a management position, and you have to do evaluations. Toastmasters teaches you how to take that, how to encourage a person and build that person up, and then how to actually evaluate what they could do better. It gives you such a really good sense of how to do it right and encourage your people instead of tear your people down.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And I think I always felt that too. If they do it the way they did it some years ago, they always ask you to put down some of the things that the person did well, as well as things they could improve on. Is that still the case?
Yes, it is. We, after even if you're Toastmaster, if you have any job that evening, if you want to write a little note of encouragement, if you've done an exceptionally well job, if we've got a new person that's coming in and say they were Toastmasters for the first time that night, just a little note of encouragement. You did a great job, just to cheer them on. And this is what you might try this next time, or something, some little encouragement that will help them do a better job next time. But we have other jobs too. We have timer. We have our grammarian. The grammarian, nobody wants that job because it is really hard. I think the evaluation probably is the job that you get that you will grow the most in, because you have to have a whole different set of listening skills. You also have to have your writing skills. You have to think on the fly, because once you've listened to the speech the person has prepared, you have to evaluate him, like I said, on how they presented. Are they watching their audience? Is their material put together well? All these different things. But then you have to turn around and probably 5 or 6 minutes later and deliver a 3 to 5 minute speech about that. And you really have to think on your feet. It really does make you listen well, and it makes you process quickly.
I like that part. I like the thinking on your feet. That's something very important to learn, I believe. So
yeah.
This is a good time to take a break. So we are going to do that, and I will have plenty more to say after we come back from our break. This is Dan Chiodo with Level Up. If you've just tuned in, I'm talking to Debbie Little today, and we're talking about Toastmasters, a wonderful organization to help you level up. So we'll be right back after this.
Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Stormcloud Marketing can give your business more than just a pretty website and video. We can build a marketing strategy that focuses on a goal, monitors progress, and makes adjustments to constantly improve performance as your partner in marketing. It's the tools and quality you would expect from the big city agency, but in downtown Joplin. Stormcloud Marketing. It's time to strike.
Well, welcome back to Level Up. This is episode 32, where we're talking about Toastmasters, talking about professional speaking, talking to Debbie Little about that. And she was just reviewing some notes about some of the things that Toastmasters covers. So, Debbie, would you mind reading a few of those things so that our viewers know just what's talked about at a Toastmasters meeting?
Maybe not so much talked about, but some of the things we're looking to gain as education-wise is, again, like we talked about a while ago, your listening skills. You would be amazed if you're the all counter for the evening. You're listening for ahs, ams, buts, so's, and whatevers. You're listening while you're learning there. Critical thinking, again, in your evaluations, how to bring that information in and then turn around and put it all back together and spit it right back out to your to the group on how you've evaluated their speech. And giving feedback is an art in itself. Keeping it very uplifted, very useful. You want it to be good value. I just talked to one of my gals a while ago on the phone. She had given her second speech this week, and Christy, who we both know, was her evaluator for the evening. I said, "Oh, I bet you her evaluation was wonderful." She says, "It was." She says, and this is a professional woman. This is a woman that has taught college level in mathematics, and so she she is a highly educated woman, but she says, I took back things that I hadn't thought about before. So giving that good feedback will help you with any of your employees. To be able to gather your thoughts as you go along. Time management. Our meetings are set up with an hour. We have to get so much done within an hour, and then we'll be able to close on time. We facilitate different clubs and groups. There's a lot of different avenues you can go down right now. Say that you wanted to do a podcast on your own. We have so many different types of education right now where you go on pathways and you take an evaluation of yourself, what you would like to learn, and maybe about your personality type, of what type of speaker you would be. You would go in and this would tell you, okay, these are the things that you can come and maybe you would like to do a podcast. It has a complete educational pathway you can go on to learn how to do podcasts and to be the most effective that way. So very, very good material there. Mentoring. Everybody has a mentor. When we go to our first meeting, we're assigned a mentor. That mentor will actually help you get you through the process of taking the evaluation online, seeing what path you want, and then helping you keep on course as you go along. There are so many levels you can go through with Toastmasters, and they're quite distinguished. We do have a distinguished level in our in the lineup there. So many ways. When you put that on a resume, if anybody's even familiar with Toastmasters, they're going to know what degree of personal development you're trying to achieve when you're with Toastmasters. Also, the team building aspect of it, working together. Each level has its own big project. You either start a new club, and mentor a new club. We did a success leadership program over Pittsburgh State last fall with 3 of our people as their main speakers. Excellent. I was so amazed. I know these people on a weekly basis, but I've seen those people through eyes that I would have never dreamed of. They had grown so much, and I was so proud of them. We have part of them as their speaking group. The other part of us put the logistics of the meeting together, getting people brought in and signed up and that type of thing. It takes a whole group of us to put something like that on. And we just also finished a 6-week course for the youth, which I was a part of, and I am ready to do that on my own. We had seven young people from sixth grade through 12th. There's quite a bit of difference in age and all there, but still, ours were a little more on the 15 to 16-year-olds. They came in and were with us for 6 weeks. They were taught how to do an opening speech on themselves. That subject they know a lot about. So they did their first speech. They turned around. They were evaluated and shown, maybe possibly what they might do better. We had videos where we came in and showed them this year's award winners. You can compete in this group, and that's what's amazing. We're going to have the world champion in Kansas City on December 7th. It's free to the public, and if you get on Toastmasters International, you will see all these speakers online with their winning speeches there. Excellent. But we show these kids then what a real speech looks like. We talk to them about the gesturing, the eye contact, how they're moving about, how the passion, how you can see things through their faces. They're talking about their subject, if it was scary or whatever. Then they turned around and they did their speech again on the second time in front of their parents, using the things that they learned from their evaluation. Amazing, the difference in each one of them. That was such a rewarding experience. I am eager to do that again real quickly.
Yes. And I think that no matter where you are in life, no matter what kind of speaker you are, or maybe you've never done that before, you could join Toastmasters. Maybe you have a little experience in it and you want to refine what you do so you can come. And even if you're an accomplished speaker, some of the things that you're talking about are all things that make us better. I also liked when you talked about on the first side of this episode, you talked about the fact of the importance of evaluation, but when you give that speech, you talked about what they should do more of or what they did well, what they should do less of or what they could improve, and then they make changes. And when you said that, I was thinking that that's something out of this program that is really important, could be used for everyday life. What went well today? What didn't go well today? What should I change?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing that I use. And I'm now, as I'm listening to you and all the things Toastmasters does, I'm thinking back as to whether maybe I got that concept from that program because I'd been through it. And that's how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned young people, and you have always been a very inspiring person, and especially you love to work with young people.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to that a little bit about some of what you enjoy in helping them.
It's really fascinating to me how children respond. They are so hungry and so eager to learn if you take the time to be with them and really be present with them. When I go to Albania, we work with close to 600 kids when I go over there, or Africa, there's 120 at a time. And it is amazing how kids are kids everywhere you go. They all want attention. They all want to learn. They're very eager. But to watch them just kind of blossom, being in Albania for 8 years, I've watched them. They really work hard on learning their English now because they're actually teaching English in the schools there now. So they're really eager because when we get there, they're going to get to use that English. So they're speaking as much as they can with us. So that encourages them to grow a little bit and to move on, and to watch them grow spiritually over the time that we're there is just amazing because they're just like little sponges. They just suck it all up. They give back so much more that you don't even realize. I mean, they're not meaning to give back, but they just love on you and they just want to be a part of what you're doing. I just love it.
It's wonderful. And I know you're always inspired with young people. I think that's really important. We should be thinking about how we can develop them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very successful church in Kansas City, and they built a new church. And the minister made it clear that this new church would be built for future generations, for our children's children, that we need to look down the road. And of course, you see that on the news lately with some young people very passionate about global warming and recycling and all the things that we need to do to care for the earth.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do and what you've done has been so important because you've always felt like we need to shape these young folks. We need to help them. And not everyone takes the time to do that. Not everyone has the time, or so they say, but you really do need to make the time, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
It's important.
And it is so rewarding. It will charge your battery like you can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
It will get you so passionate and get you back into life. It keeps you young is what it does.
That's right. That's right. Well, you are young and you are a young thinker, and I always enjoy talking to you because you are such a leader. You have shaped so many things in the community that are so important. So what Debbie Little does is big. And then you mentioned Christy. I believe her last name is Profit.
Yes.
And you can profit by using Toastmasters. I just came up with that,
There you go.
But it really is great. And I thank you so much for being with us today and sharing some of that information. It's incredible.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's great. So we thank you for being with us on Level Up today. And we always try to give you a challenge. So look into Toastmasters a little bit, or just Google public speaking. Look at how important that is and how you might do by taking a course like that, being a part of Toastmasters. might be very essential to your growth, to whatever you want to do. So thank you, all of our viewers, for joining us on Level Up, and we'll see you on the next episode. Cheers.